Hi there, and welcome to the Experience Podcast. My name is Dennis, and I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. And with me today is a very special guest.
My name is Neil. I am a multi-dimensional spiritual being having a human experience. And in this video, and really in all videos that you may watch, or in all information that you may receive, it's very important to use your own discernment and to listen to your heart and to discern if it's truth, or where is this information coming from, a place of love or is it coming from a place of fear. And it's really for each individual to discern that. And so in this video, we want to begin to talk about alchemy. And with the alchemy, I would like to present the definition of the word itself. And from Oxford Language, the definition of alchemy is the medieval forerunner of chemistry, based on the supposed transformation of matter. It was concerned particularly with attempts to convert base metals into gold, or to find a universal elixir. So how do you see alchemy as of right now? And we're gonna dive more into additional information. But as of right now, what is your viewpoint on alchemy, and how do you see it in your own life, and your perspective on it?
So I feel like I have just as many or more questions than I have answers on this topic. I feel like I don't know very much of anything related to the alchemy, such as you described earlier, where they used the four elements, or they tried to convert base metals into gold. Now that, and when I say that, like, I want to make sure that if you're watching this, that, because I think alchemy is a very amazing ability, or at least it was back in those days, and I feel like it still is. So when I share my story, I want to make sure that this is only my opinion of alchemy, of how I understand alchemy. So you asked how it relates to my own life. Well, the thing that comes to my mind was, and this just happened, like the April full moon, I believe, was a Libra full moon. Is that, or was it March? It was either March or April. We had a Libra full moon. And I'm a Libra myself. And if you know anything about Libras, we love balance. We Anytime things get out of balance, it has a tendency to drive us fucking crazy. And so what I realized was, in that full moon was very, very intense for me. And what happened is you actually brought it up that it was a Libra full moon. I didn't know it at the time. And then it was after the fact, maybe the day after, or the same evening or the same day of the full moon, is when I learned that it was a Libra full moon. So then it all made sense, because what happened was, this is kind of how my thinking goes as I go throughout life, is I kind of categorize my life. I break it down into certain areas, like my mental, physical, and spiritual, and relationships and so forth. Well, I realized that I was really out of balance in two areas. So I made a commitment because the full moons go in 30-day cycles. I made a commitment that within the next 30 days, that I would figure out a way to bring into more balance those two areas of my life. And within a week and a half, there was a decision made, and things presented themselves in my life that those two areas would be taken care of within a week and a half. So going back to how you were talking about the base metals, that's just my own personal, just a brief story of something that happened recently. When you asked that question, that came to my mind.
And how do you feel that alchemy played a part in that process?
So I feel as if I was connected to my spiritual self at that time, and also the physical self. And based on the information that I received, and based on the emotions I was feeling, and based on the placement of the moon and the stars and where everything was at that time, I feel as if using that energy, and it was that information, and then being aware of the fact that I had 30 days to really balance this out, because after Libra we go into a different full moon. So I really wanted to utilize that energy going into, so I could transform my path that I was on. And I feel as if the information came in, and it presented itself, and I was aware of the fact that I was very unhappy at that time in those two areas. And I made a decision, and I took action, and based on those steps, things appeared, and I feel like that energy was transmuted into in a direction that led to a different outcome, had I not been aware of those type of events, and had I not been in tune with how I was feeling emotionally.
Sure. That's amazing.
So I guess, like, I feel like it's a combination of emotional, spiritual, physical, like pretty much all of the above. And just having an awareness of my own being, my own emotional, how I feel emotionally and mentally, and yeah.
And how do you feel like these three areas, how come they all play a factor?
And what three areas are you referring to?
The spiritual, the mental, and the physical.
How they play a factor in alchemy? Because that's literally what we are, is a spiritual, mental, and physical being.
That's interesting. So I would like to get more into, so this is from the University of the Bristol School of Chemistry, and it's talking about alchemy. So a brief history of alchemy. They explain it as being born in ancient Egypt, where the word chem was used, and that's spelled Khem, in reference to the fertility of the floodplains around the Nile, Egyptian beliefs in life after death, and the mummification procedures they developed probably gave rise to rudimentary chemical knowledge and a goal of immortality. So it goes on to explain around 332 BC, Greek philosophers became interested in the Egyptian ways, and Greek views of how matter was made up of the four elements, which were fire, earth, air, and water. And those began to merge with Egyptian sacred science. And the result was chemia, the Greek word for Egypt. And then Egypt was occupied by the Arabs in the 7th century, and the word al was added to chemia, meaning the black land, and is potentially an origin for the word alchemy. The Greek word kumos, meaning fluid, is suggested as an alternate origin for the word. So that was like in Egypt. All of that was sort of located in the Egypt area.
And this is where it first, where alchemy originated from. Is that what I heard?
The word itself.
Okay.
But there, it was a practice. Like they were the practitioners of it.
Okay.
And then the word just sort of emerged. But they were literally just practicing it. So that was Egypt. And then it goes on to explain that alchemy was also developed independently in China by the Taoist monks. The monks pursued both the outer elixir and the inner elixir, the former being minerals and plants, etc., which could prolong life, and latter being the use of exercise techniques such as qigong to manipulate the qi or the life force of the body. So, like China and Egypt, India developed alchemy independently. They had beliefs similar to the Chinese in that they used both the external and the internal methods to purify the body and prolong life. So this is where alchemy becomes very, very interesting to me personally, is this the health of the body and the mind and the spirit.
And why is that? Why does that can you elaborate a little bit on why that resonates with you?
Well, because I really have an interest in body movement and of moving the body to activate and open the chakra system. And right along with that is this idea of what you are, what you eat. So what kind of fuel do you put in a racing car? You put racing fuel into it.
Sure.
So it runs at optimum performance. Well, I sort of see this alchemy of the health of the body as being similar to that, where you put optimum benefit and nutritious value food in your body. That way you have a racing fuel for optimum performance of the vehicle.
Sure.
And I really have a personal interest in that.
So do you have any stories that or personal experiences that go along with that and its relation to alchemy?
Yes. And before that, I want to continue.
Sure.
And then we'll get more into that.
Okay.
So now the Indians in India, so they had their own form of alchemy, and then it says that through their work they invented steel, like I don't know, so it says before Bunsen and Kirchhoff's work. So so they were very advanced in the areas with metal. And then the introduction of alchemy to the West came in the 8th century when the Arabs brought it to Spain. And then from there, it quickly spread to the rest of Europe. The Arabian belief was that the metals are made of mercury and sulfur in varying properties. Gold was seen as the perfect metals and all others were less perfect. It was very popular that these lower metals could be transmuted into gold by means of a substance known as the philosopher's stone. And this stone is also believed to confer immortality, and the Chinese name for it being the pill of immortality. Pretty extravagant name. So that's pretty much what they have on sort of the history and the basis and sort of the origin of alchemy itself. So with a personal experience for myself is like I see how I've been drinking tea on a regular basis that has plants within the tea. And right now, my external environment on a daily basis is like literally surrounded by plants. Like I'm by plants every day. And I feel that it's an alchemical reflection of that plants are also within me.
Okay.
And so that's sort of a direct reflection that I see.
I was gonna ask, I had a train of thought that I was gonna go down and I don't remember how I was gonna word that. Now you say tea. This isn't just any tea. Or what kind of plants are
So
in this tea?
it's a herbal tea, and it's herbs that are outside and readily available in on every single continent in every single part of the world.
And Now, how do you see the tea playing a part in alchemy and in?
Because of beneficial properties in the various plants that have positive effects on your body itself. And when it has these positive effects on the health of your body, your thought forms change to say think in a more healthy manner, because your physical body is literally healthier, so your thought forms like and then from your physical health, I feel like it has an effect on your spiritual, and it's a synopsis complete system. Like it's not like it's just spiritual or it's just the mental, or it's just the physical. It's the totality of the system.
So you created this tea for yourself. And when you initially discovered plants and so forth, did you at that point anticipate the things that came out of or started the subtle changes that like, did you see that through an alchemist perspective at that point initially?
Initially, not to the perspective that I do now.
Okay, and how has that perspective changed over time?
Infinitely. That's not even a correct question, because like the way that I see it now is infinitely different than how the perspective was that when I saw it then. And like right now, just in this second, I just became infinitely different than the last second, just because of sitting here, just because of my heart beating, just because of a word spoken, just because of something my eyes saw, just because of something I felt. I'm infinitely different than I was a second ago, and that just happened again. So my perspective now is like, so here's the question: why do we compare our perspective now to our perspective then?
That's a really good question, and I know the answer for me is because I'm always weighing shit. I'm always weighing things out and the cause and the effect.
Sure. So but that's what I'm saying. See, that was in a sense like alchemy of, so we can look at a question from 20 different angles. And so there's that. But it's so interesting with just the totality, like the health aspect.
So do you feel as if on the health aspect, do you feel like people are an alchemist by default if they don't take care of their health?
Yes, they're alchemically killing themselves. And you can alchemically choose to live, or you can alchemically choose to die. And they're both valid options. So we can choose. And oftentimes what I found for myself is that I'll choose both at various points within my life. So there'll be times when I'll choose life, and that's been something ongoing for me. It's having this perspective of choosing life, but then there's times when like I'll just choose death because it feels more comfortable. So there's that too.
So then that would mean that we are all alchemists in a sense.
In a sense, yes. Well, yeah, it is went on the health and the body movement aspect. And but so far as like literally transmuting metals, I feel that we all have that ability and that we're learning to recognize it. And as we're moving through more time and space, say our DNA is being more activated to allow for those abilities. And it's interesting. Like, what do you see, like for you, just looking and observing, what do you see alchemically by observing?
Just by observing.
So that's interesting now, because we can no longer say that statement because we're now, so what do you see when you're participating? Because it's now proven by present day science that what we observe, we participate in. So as a participator, what do you observe as you participate?
It depends where I am in space and time.
Well, let's say from an alchemical perspective.
But I was thinking earlier, I was like, you can see alchemy all around. Or at least personally, I feel like I can. I mean, we got these spaceships or these time traveling machines that I can sit in, and someone use their alchemic abilities to create this time machine or time traveling machine /car/vehicle. And same way with it's just you look at this mic here. I mean, somebody used their alchemic abilities to create this.
That's
because there's multiple different elements within the one physical thing here.
That's very true.
And same way with these phones, like somebody really fucking got good at. I'm just very curious now that you asked the question. I'm just really curious how many components of a cell phone come from how many different parts of the world. And personally, I feel like that in itself is somebody used alchemy to create this, because of the fact that all these different elements are combined to create this one physical thing. And that's pretty amazing.
It's phenomenal.
That's really phenomenal. So going back to your question, like what I see, I mean, I feel like those, and on that topic of us all being alchemists, I feel like it's very, very, very important that we start creating our own alchemical, that we really step into our power and we transmute positive alchemy for ourselves and those around us. Because what's been going on is that dark forces, you could call them satanic forces, you could call them evil forces, whatever, have really been utilizing their abilities. So I feel like it's very, very paramount and vital that we start using our alchemical abilities as a species.
That's really interesting. So if you're new to the channel, I invite you to subscribe. You can add my Snapchat at neilman25.
And you can add my Snapchat at Dennis the Message without the E on the end.
Stay blessed, stay multi-dimensional, and continue experiencing